What if I told you that the Houston Texans could draft a weapon with the 25th overall pick? That's what everyone wants to see, the receiver, the tight end, the running back. What if the Texans could still do it? Today we're going to talk about it. And I know I've said that they probably need to trade up and get a good guard tackle prospect such as Josh Simmons or maybe Kelvin Banks Jr. That might be true, but there is an argument to be made for drafting a weapon 25th overall. We're going to talk about that argument, about who it should be. Then we're going to talk about who they would need to draft in the second round. And finally, we're going to wrap it up with a mini mock draft highlighting this strategy. So don't forget to watch till the end of the video. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. This is the Texans Better Talk Show. We are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the draft, and then we will go live for the draft. So stick around. Great channel for Texans content, posting daily. So that's enough talking. Let's get straight into this. Got a mini draft board for you guys. Now, this will be kind of quick, and this is without O-lineman, right? Because the whole point of this video is, well, what if they draft a weapon in the first round? The first person to come off on this draft board is Elic Iomenor, the Stanford wide receiver, 6'2", 206 pounds, a true X receiver. He would be scary lining up with Nico Collins. Notable performance, one game, he went for 294 yards against Colorado. That was a great performance. A lot of people remember. In 2024, he had 63 receptions for 831 yards and 6 touchdowns. Look, he's got great physical attributes, great versatility, great athleticism. He does need some improvement in the route running, the consistency. He's more of a project receiver, not a big project, but there's a little couple tweaks you have to make with him. So is 25 a little rich for Elic? Probably, but honestly, I needed to fill the triangle. I needed to put someone there. So that being said, he's still a great talent, and I don't think it's crazy for someone to slightly reach on him and take him in the first round. But moving on, let's talk about Amarian Hampton. Now, make no mistake about it, Amarian Hampton is said to be by many the best running back in this draft class. That's including Ashton Genty. Look, without a doubt, Amarian Hampton is a better pass catcher, pass threat than Ashton Genty. 6 feet tall, 220 pounds, played at North Carolina. Look at these numbers. 2023, he goes for 1,500 yards. 2024, he goes for 1,600 yards, 5.9 yards per carry, and 15 touchdowns. He's a powerful running back, a lot of vision, a lot of patience. He can do everything. He is a bell cow running back. He might be my favorite running back in the draft. That's hard to say with Genty, obviously, but all around, he is a phenomenal running back prospect. Do I think the Texans need a running back in the first round? Probably not. That's probably not the main area of concern for us. But hey, I can't say I'd be mad if they went and got who's arguably the best running back in this class. Definitely without Genty, but maybe even with Genty. But now let's move on. Let's get a little bit more reasonable with our picks at 25. Which weapon are we taking? Well, how about Luther Burden? Now, Luther Burden's stock has been falling, 6 feet tall, 206 pounds. Look, his production did go down this past year, and that's really where the draft stock is plummeting. Only around 600 yards. But look, Burden is a dog, very, very shifty, very, very scrappy mentality, great explosiveness. He actually has some yak ability and great separation skills as well. So I'll allow Luther Burden to fall a little bit. A lot of people still believe he's a first round talent. Not everyone does, though. He's probably the most polarizing person on this list. So Luther Burden is definitely someone to think about. But, when the draft process first started, the Texans would have been lucky to even have a shot at Luther Burden. And now it's seeming like, well, he might realistically be there. And if you're the Houston Texans, you might have some choices to make. But I'll leave that up to y'all to debate. Let's just keep moving on with our next prospect. Let's go to a different position. This is Colston Loveland. Now, Colston Loveland obviously playing with Harbaugh and winning the Natty not too long ago. Colston Loveland is one of the best receiving threats at the tight end position. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, hey, we need linemen. We need receivers. Well, think of Loveland as a bona fide receiver. Now, he's not as versatile as a receiver, obviously, because he's a tight end, but he might be one of the best, the person with the best ball skills in this draft. Close to it, 6'6", 249 yards, 10-inch hand size. I know hand size is a big thing. He just knows the nuances of the position. Over 3 seasons, he's got 117 receptions, 1,400 yards, and 11 touchdowns at that tight end position. Natural pass catcher. Again, one of the best receiving tight ends in this draft, maybe over Warren even. Not saying he's a great blocker, because he's not. He's not an amazing blocker, and you could argue that the Texans need better blocking tight ends, but he makes up for it with his route running and his receiving skills. That is, it's great. He might not even be there at 25. He might go earlier. He might go around 17. But if Loveland's there, you could definitely make the argument that the Houston Texans should pick him up. Okay, moving right along, let's talk about some people's favorite wide receiver prospect, and that is Matthew Golden coming out of Texas. Look, Matthew Golden ran the 4.3. A lot of people saying he doesn't play at that speed, and I'd like to controversially agree. He doesn't look like he plays with 4.3 speed, but he has it, right? So, I mean, that's kind of impossible to knock him for not playing like that. 6 feet tall, 195 pounds. Great size. And look, I think Matthew Golden is probably the person who makes the best adjustments to the ball when it's in the air. He just knows how to wrap his body around, catch balls. Were some concentration drops, not the biggest thing, but 980 receiving yards at Texas. Obviously played at U of H a lot, so he's kind of local. Great receiver, great promising kind of prospect that's risen up the boards, but he hasn't risen up my draft board all the way yet because we still have that last receiver. That is Emeka Egbuka. I've said this plenty of times on this channel, but Emeka Egbuka's floor is so high, it's hard to pass up. There's virtually, I don't want to say there's no risk, there's always risk, but compared to everyone else, there's very little risk with Emeka Egbuka because of how long he's been excellent for. He has plenty of records at Ohio State University where they produce good receivers. 6'1", 202 pounds. Not the most athletic receiver on there, but he understands zone. Great mentality guy, great mindset. Really fits what the Texans look for. Also played with C.J. Stroud. Great football IQ, I guess is what I was trying to say. Great route running. Great hands and ball skills. I mean, he's just an all-around high-floor guy, also a great blocker at that wide receiver position. So that's kind of my draft board for the 25th pick. Now here's where I'll kind of take a step back on all of this, and what I'll say is, look, it is risky to take a weapon if you're the Houston Texans first, right? The argument for it is we want a guy who can be a game changer, and you would have to make the argument that you feel more comfortable with Ed Ingram and Laken Tomlinson than, I feel making right at this moment. But you could make that argument. It's not like starters only are found in the first round. Obviously, that's where it's most common. But you could potentially find a great starter in the second round on the offensive line. So let's talk about that. Remember, this is the 25th pick, so over 25 spots later. And these are all going to be linemen because we're coming from kind of the assumption that you drafted a weapon first, and now you really need a lineman in the second round of the draft. Picking at 58. Let's start with Tate Ratledge. Look, Tate Ratledge is probably a reach at 58. I'm not going to lie, but 6'6", almost 6'7", 310 pounds, ran a 4.97 40-yard dash. Vertical jump is 32 inches. He's an athlete, great mentality guy, great mindset guy. Played at Georgia, was a guard. Little bit of injury history, nothing too crazy though. Really great run blocker. He's got some strength and pass protection. Just needs to improve in his consistency, and he has that injury history, which is what I think is really kind of holding him back. Tate Ratledge, still a welcome addition. What about a tackle? What about Jonas Savaiena? Now, Savaiena's got that dog mentality. At the Senior Bowl, he wanted more reps than anyone else. 6'5", 339 pounds. He's a guy who will probably fit in and play guard really well. Still kind of in the area where we might be reaching a little bit in 58, but if you really need a guard and Savaiena there, you should take him. You should not try to wait until the third round, and that's kind of going to be the repeated sentiment for a lot of these guys. And I almost had Savaiena ahead of Donovan Jackson, who's right in front of him, the tackle out of Ohio State. Donovan Jackson, 6'4", 320. Look, he's from Bel Air, Texas, so he's a local. One of the top-ranked guard prospects in 2021, eventually playing the tackle position. He's got a great build, great, stronger upper body, great, heavy hands, nice anchor, good run blocker. Not the most impressive athlete, though, and that really kind of can twist people the wrong way. Kind of the same treatment that Tyler Booker's getting right now. And also, he doesn't maintain his leverage enough consistently on a consistent basis, but still, he's projected to be a day 2 pick. He could definitely start as a guard in his professional career. Now let's move up to the picks we feel a little bit better about. What about Ariante Ursure? Ursure, 6'6", 330 pounds. He began his tenure in Minnesota in 2020, saw limited action, but became a full-time left tackle in 2022. Great physical build, great run blocker, great pass protection. Again, very technically sound. He is athletic, which I think really kind of, adds to his, draft profile. Um, Again, consistent performance all around. Ursure, and then there's just the local draft talk that Ursure is a pretty solid pick. Could play guard, probably will play guard. There's not really a lot of set in stone tackle prospects in the second round. But again, the reason why I think this is still feasible is because you don't necessarily need a tackle. You really just need a guard. Let's move on, though, to Josh Conerly Jr. I know I just said that. Josh Conerly Jr. is probably more of a tackle prospect than anyone else on this list, though. 6'4", 315 pounds. He did have a kind of a semi-viral clip of Mike Green, I believe it was, pushing him over and bulldozing him in the Senior Bowl. But if you can get by that, I mean, he was a great player for Oregon. Began playing in Oregon at 2022, played 13 games as a freshman, earned first-team All-American honors. 2024 continued to excel, et cetera, et cetera. Great athleticism, great pass protection, great versatility. Kind of coming on the same talking points with these linemen, but Josh Conerly Jr. is probably the safest person in my mind from the people listed here, and I think he could be as late as a late first round pick, but probably somewhere in that second round area in the draft. And finally, we can always hope and dream. We can always hope and dream that Gray Zabel is going to be there. I don't think he is. 58 seems way too low for Gray Zabel. He might not be, even in the second round. He might be a first rounder. And if he's not a first rounder, he'll probably be top of the second. So don't want to spend too much time talking about him. But he's the obvious, if he's there, then you kind of have to draft him. So that is our draft board. Now let's do a mock draft simulation on PFF where we kind of test this out and really try to make this work. Let's get straight into it. So remember, we are trying to draft a weapon first. We are willing to take on the extra risk of not really, being able to secure a guard, a guard in the second round. As I try to fix my screen, guys, sorry about that. So we're not really trying to draft a guard in the first round. We're trying to find a weapon, and we have some options. Luther Burden being there is a great choice, but let's see who came off just to see. Well, this is a very interesting draft because Tyler Booker's not there. Kelvin Banks Jr. goes right before you. Josh Simmons go right before you. So this doesn't even look like you would want to take an offensive lineman from what I'm seeing right now. I wonder if Loveland's still there. Cam Warren, Abdul Carter, Tyler Warren goes. Ted McMillan goes. Shamar Stewart, Tyler Booker. So it looks like Loveland's still there, a great kind of tight end, prospect like we were talking about. So you could take Loveland, who's ranked 29 here. You could take Luther Burden, who's ranked 15. You could take Matthew Golden, who's ranked 27. So yeah, this is actually a perfect draft and a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Just to kind of see, let's just see what the offensive tackle situation looks like. You'd have to take Gray Zabel, who was kind of at the top of my pyramid in the second round. You could take, again, Ursure, Conerly, kind of in the perfect order actually right here. Donovan Jackson. So you don't know if you really want to bite on that. Let's check the interior offensive line and look for guards. Yeah, you just have Tate Ratledge. So what a perfect mock draft to do this exercise with. Now, according to my board, because I want to stay true to my board, I have Matthew Golden or Colston Loveland being on the same tier. Is Emeka Ibuka there? I don't think he's there, is he? I don't think Emeka Ibuka can't be there because he would have been up there. Where did Emeka Ibuka go? Okay, he went 18 to Seattle. That's fine. So Emeka Ibuka's not there. So the question is Matthew Golden or Colston Loveland. Could go either way here. Could honestly go either way. I think Colston Loveland probably is the better overall player, but for what the Texans need, I think I'm going to lean with Matthew Golden. And this is just a 2-round mock draft, so we're just going to kind of play this out. We'll take Matthew Golden with 25, and we'll continue to move down the clock. Now, this is where it gets scary. This is where you kind of have to close your eyes and hope that there's an offensive guard or offensive tackle that's even remotely close to my draft board, and it's not looking amazing. This is the scary part, but this is why I kind of wanted to do it. You do get Ursure there. Cameron Williams, I didn't talk about on my board. He's a solid player as well. If we want to just look at the guards, though, if Ratledge is still there, we could probably reach for him at 89 is what he's ranked at, so a little bit more of a reach. But you know what? Let's just go back to the tackle position. Let's stick again, just sticking with my draft board, which I had Ursure at the top of. I had him over Savayena, I believe, right? Now it's all starting to blend together. Yeah, so I had Ursure at the very top, Conerly and Zabel obviously not there. So we will draft Ursure. And that's pretty much the draft. Now, like I said before, this is riskier, right? Ursure only getting a B plus, so you do have to take into account that if you really want the weapon, you really want Matthew Golden, you have to be prepared to maybe reach on a tackle prospect in the second round. That being said, I think a lot of people can get past that if you get a great receiver like Golden, but it really just kind of highlights the give and take. So anyway, to summarize this video, can the Texans still take a weapon? Yes, if they're really set on having Ingram or Tomlinson be one of their starting left guards. The offensive line still looks a little scary right now, and we need to protect Stroud. But like I said, if this was the first 2 rounds of the draft, and maybe you're not too happy with Ursure, that's fine. But you get a weapon, like, does that make up for it a little bit? Probably does. So that was kind of the point of this video. If you guys stuck around, please like and subscribe because it helps me out tremendously. And we're going to try to hit 1,000 subscribers before the draft to go live. So that's all I got for this video, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. And I will see y'all in the next one, man. Peace out.